Welcome to the Know, I'm Turney.
I'm Jenkins.
Look, up in the air. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's an entire cinematic universe potentially going down in flames.
Thanks to Batman vs. Superman's critical box office reception, which was kind of poor. The sky is falling for DC and Warner Brothers, and now people are wondering if they should have tried to make their movies a little bit more like Marvel's. Everyone loves hearing that.
Well, at least that was a fan takeaway from the unfavorable Batman vs. Superman reviews that said the movie was, quote, no fun, and other things.
Uh-oh, my fanboy sense is tingling. The idea that Warner Brothers take on the DC heroes being too dark is nothing new, but the conversation reached a new level of weird this week thanks to rumors and denials of Suicide Squad reshoots to turn it into a big old Marvel comedy fest.
Last weekend, Birth Movies Death reported that Suicide Squad was undergoing millions of dollars of reshoots to add more humor and lightness to the film.
Breaking news, Internet. A movie trailer made a movie look more fun than it actually is.
What? And in classic, they put all their best shit in the trailer already. It turns out that Suicide Squad may have literally done exactly that.
According to The Source, just about every bit of lightness in the Suicide Squad was packed into the dulcet tones of Freddie Mercury. After early reports came in of critics slamming Batman vs. Superman for being aggressively unfun, it seemed that Warner Brothers was maybe trying to address this criticism ahead of time with Suicide Squad with all the reshoots.
Yeah, this rumor gained even more steam after Batman vs. Superman's second weekend huge clip drop-off. We covered that, of course, in a couple of our roundups over the last week, but Batman vs. Superman basically saw an unprecedented slump the weekend after it opened, dropping 69% in box office sales.
Slumping for the second weekend is nothing new in movie land. Pretty much every movie does that, but 69% puts it in worst ever slump for comic book territory. Only Ang Lee's 2003 Hulk flick had a bigger drop-off. You know, the one where Hulk fought mutant dogs.
But now cast members are speaking out in DC and Warner Brothers' defense. Jai Courtney, my future husband, who plays Boomerang in Suicide Squad, denied rumors that the reshoots were ordered because the movie was not funny enough.
Speaking with Entertainment Tonight, Courtney said, "You can't believe everything you read." He also said that the reshoots were actually happening to beef up the action sequences and that there was already plenty of humor.
Of course, Courtney's denial doesn't necessarily mean the rumor isn't true. This could just be damage control as requested by the film's producers. I mean, what else are you gonna do? Say the movie's not fucking funny? Don't see it? Come on.
It should also be kept in mind that the whole thing was a rumor to begin with and shouldn't be taken as fact either way.
Absolutely. Now, whether or not the rumor is true, it certainly jump-started a huge conversation about DC's movies being way too dark overall. And cast members are getting involved in the discussion, with some responding to the criticism of Batman vs. Superman.
Both Aquaman, played by Jason Momoa, and Cyborg, played by Ray Fisher, have taken to defending Batman vs. Superman on Instagram, with Momoa posting memes mocking the movie's detractors.
He also spoke, by the way, with ET Online about the criticism, saying, "Some people liked it, some people didn't. It is what it is." He added, "I don't get it, but I don't really listen to what anyone says. You can't win them all. And I had a ball. I loved it."
Because he was in it a ton. Well, many fans certainly had mixed reactions to the content and tone of Batman vs. Superman. The response to Gal Gadot's first appearance as Wonder Woman has remained relatively positive. However, anyone hoping that her solo movie might bring a little bit of levity to Warner Brothers' dark universe might be kind of disappointed.
In a recent conversation with Digital Spy, the lady who will be my future wife as well spoke on the feel of the upcoming Wonder Woman film, saying, "In Wonder Woman, this would be the first time we ever tell the coming-of-age story of how Diana becomes Wonder Woman.
And one of the few origin stories we could actually use in a film." She went on to add, "It has moments of humor, but it's pretty dark, so much for that one."
Yeah, Henry Cavill or Cavill or whatever his damn name is, my other future husband. I'm sorry, I want to fuck everyone in this movie.
She has a lot of husbands.
He also added his 2 cents during the film's press junket, stating that what critics think doesn't really matter. Per Superman himself, he said, "What is really going to matter, I believe, is what the audience says. Because they're the ones who are buying tickets. They're the ones who want to see more of this kind of story or not, and so the audience's voice is the loudest."
Unfortunately for Warner Brothers, the audience has spoken. Pretty loudly, in fact, judging by the second weekend box office drop-off. It's even got to the point where the movie's underperformance may be affecting all of Warner Brothers, with them considering releasing fewer movies as a whole as a result and focusing more on tentpoles, of which, admittedly, DC is one.
The Hollywood Reporter wrote about this earlier this week, claiming that there are rumors that Warner Brothers is considering adding a new producer to take some responsibility for the franchise going forward, away from Zack Snyder. We can only hope. However, they also state that the other closed sources believe that this is not the case, so, there's all sorts of rumors.
And as for Snyder, he's brushing off the criticism as well, saying simply, it is what it is. He even says he went out of his way to make the movie a little bit less dark, having removed a scene of Superman hearing and ignoring people's cries for help, a scene that would have filled in a bit of a plot hole if only it hadn't been so darn bleak.
I think Zack Snyder probably needs a hug or 12, considering all of his movies. So with all this crazy criticism flying around, the takeaway still remains whether or not DC's movies need less dark and more light. I mean, it's all up to them. We don't know what they're gonna do.
Really, though, the question of do they need more levity, more lightness, more funniness might be missing the point a little bit. The bigger issue than tone, and seriously, watching a movie about Batman trying to kill Superman, please be a little bit dark, is whether or not some of these movies treat their characters and stories with the same sincerity that Marvel gets credit for.
It's true. So say what you want about Marvel movies. We're not here to take sides on either side, really. We're just stirring the pot a little bit.
You guys do that plenty well.
You guys do that very well. But Marvel's cinematic universe basically starts and ends with one person from Marvel, and that's Kevin Feige. There are probably very strong opinions out there about what kind of job he's doing, but having one person who oversees every story aspect across the entire cinematic universe makes for a consistent product at the very least.
But it also leads to criticism that Marvel does get a lot, that its movies all kind of feel the same. Some view that as a good thing because, again, consistency, but others see it as squandering the creativity of filmmakers, which is why people like Joss Whedon have bailed on the MCU altogether.
Though he is at least writing some of Captain America's comics, so there's that.
We'll take it.
DC's approach, on the other hand, is all filmmaker driven. And yes, this has almost a literal committee of producers that are also helping oversee the films, but for the most part, they allow creatives to dictate the tone and content for each movie.
Some argue that this will allow for a whole range of superhero movies with the likes of Snyder and David Ayer, who's directing the Suicide Squad, and Patty Jenkins, good girl, helming Wonder Woman, with each bringing their own style.
Kind of like how Harry Potter movies had their own directors for each movie, and then, Warner Brothers had everybody do their own. I think the Twilight films also did that.
Yeah, so, you can definitely in Harry Potter see the different tones based on the filmmaker who made them.
Yeah.
So, and as another Warner's flick, good example. But it's led to problems in the past, most notably on DC's Wonder Woman, which reportedly had no leaders and quite a bit of creative differences, and resulted in the first director, Michelle MacLaren, leaving the project.
That approach could also lead to takes on these superheroes that might not be as consistent with the comic book heroes we know and love. Now, sometimes people respond okay with certain amounts of, back and forth, little give and take, but we saw that in Man of Steel, by the way, but other times, it doesn't really go so well.
They're entirely different approaches with merits and downsides, but right now the box offices seem to be in Marvel's corner.
And Zack Snyder, who's been given the keys to building the Justice League part of the DC franchise, seems to be taking his films in a very particular direction, and come what may.
And for those hoping all the criticism might cause a shift in vision of the Justice League, there's probably not enough time for that as the movie starts filming next week. It'd be a pretty quick turnaround for Come to Space Jesus talk with the film's writers.
Yeah,
but who knows?
Hey, could happen. What do you guys think of Zack Snyder on the whole and all the DC movies? Are they too dark? Are they too light? Should they be more like Marvel? Argue in the comments down below.
And for more on future comic book franchise battles and all your DC Marvel news, remember to like the video and subscribe to the know.
Yeah.
The response to Gal Gadot's first appearance
Gal Gadot.
No, it's Gal Gadot. I've looked this shit up.
I've only ever heard her say Gadot.
I went through a guide. It's Gadot.
All right, go for it.
I'm gonna do it.